Frédéric Chopin was born in Zelazowa Wola, 29 miles west of Warsaw, in what was then the Duchy of Warsaw, a Polish state established by Napoleon. The parish baptismal record gives his birth date as the 22nd of February 1810. However, the composer and his family used the birth date March 1st, which is now generally accepted as the correct date. Frédéric was baptized on Easter Sunday, 23rd of April, 1810, in the same church where his French-born father married his Polish-born mother. Frédéric was the couple's second child and only son. He had an elder sister, Ludwika, and two younger sisters, Isabella and Amelia. When Frédéric was 6 months old, the family moved to Warsaw, where his father acquired a post teaching French at the Warsaw Lyceum, then housed in the Saxon Palace. It quickly became apparent that he was a child prodigy. By the age of 7, Frédéric had begun giving public concerts. In 1870, the Saxon Palace was requisitioned by Warsaw's Russian governor for military use, and the Warsaw Lyceum was re-established. During this period, Frédéric was sometimes invited to the Belwedder Palace as playmate to the son of the ruler of Russian Poland, Grand Duke Constantine. He played the piano for the Duke and composed a march for him. From September 1823 to 1826, Chopin attended the Warsaw Lyceum, where he received organ lessons from a Czech musician during his first year. In the autumn of 1826, he began a 3-year course at the Warsaw Conservatory, studying music theory, figured bass, and composition. Throughout this period, he continued to compose and give recitals in concerts and saloons in Warsaw. He was engaged by the inventors of the mechanical organ, and on this instrument, in May 1825, he performed his own improvisation and part of a concerto. The success of this concert led to an invitation to give a similar recital on the instrument before Tsar Alexander I, who was visiting Warsaw. At a subsequent concert on the 10th of June 1825, Chopin performed his Rondo Opus 1. This was the first of his works to be commercially published and earned him his first mention in the foreign press. In 1827, soon after the death of Chopin's younger sister, Amelia, the family moved from Warsaw University building adjacent to the Kazimierz Palace to lodgings just across the street from the university where Chopin lived until he left Warsaw in 1830. Here his parents continued running their boarding house for male students. The Chopin Family Parlor became a museum in the 20th century. On the 11th of August, 3 weeks after completing his studies at Warsaw Conservatory, he made his debut in Vienna, Austria. He gave 2 piano concerts and received many favorable reviews. In one of these concerts, he premiered his variations on Le Si diremo le meno Opus 2, a variation on Mozart's opera Don Giovanni. He returned to Warsaw in September 1829, where he premiered his piano concerto No. 2 in F minor, Opus 21, on 17th of March, 1830. Chopin's success as a composer and performer opened the door to Western Europe for him, and on the 2nd of November 1830 he set out. He headed for Austria again, intending to go on to Italy. Chopin arrived in Paris in late September 1831. In Paris, Chopin encountered artists and other distinguished figures, and found many opportunities to exercise his talents. On the 26th of February 1832, Chopin gave a debut Paris concert at the Salle Pleyel, which drew universal admiration. After this concert, Chopin realized that his essentially intimate keyboard technique was not optimal for long concert spaces. In 1835, Chopin went to Carlsbad, where he spent time with his parents. It was the last time that he would see them. Chopin went on to Leipzig, where he presented Schumann with his G minor ballade. Chopin expressed annoyance in 1843 when Liszt performed one of his nocturnes with the addition of numerous intricate embellishments, at which Chopin remarked that he should play the music as written or not play it at all. In June 1837, Chopin visited London incognito in the company of a piano manufacturer, Camille Pleyel, where he played at a musical soiree at the house of English piano maker James Broadwood. On his return to Paris, his association with the female author George Sand began in earnest, and by the end of June 1838, they had become lovers. On the 3rd of December, Chopin complained about his bad health and the incompetence of the doctors in Mozart. 3 doctors have visited me. The first said I was dead, the second said I was dying, and the third said I was about to die. Although this period had been productive, the bad weather had such a detrimental effect on Chopin's health. In 1842, he and Sand moved to Les Square d'Orléans, living in adjacent buildings. From 1842 onwards, Chopin showed signs of serious illness. He was forced by illness to decline a written invitation to participate in a repeat performance of the Beethoven 7th Symphony arrangement on the 1st of March, 1843. Chopin's health continued to deteriorate practically from this time onward. Chopin's relations with Sand were soured in 1846 by problems involving her daughter Solange. The composer frequently took Solange's side in quarrels with her mother. As the composer's illness progressed, Sand had become less of a lover and more of a nurse to Chopin. In 1847, he did not visit Nohant, and he quietly ended their 10-year relationship. Chopin's public popularity as a virtuoso began to wane, as did the number of his pupils, and this, together with the political strife and instability of the time, caused him to struggle financially. In February 1843, he gave his last Paris concert, which included 3 movements of the Cello Sonata, Opus 65. In April, during the Revolution of 1848 in Paris, he left for London, England, where he performed at several concerts and at numerous receptions in great houses. This tour was suggested to him by his Scottish pupil Jane Stirling and her elder sister. At his first engagement, on the 15th of May at Stratford House, the audience included Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. He gave a public concert in Glasgow on the 27th of September and another in Edinburgh on the 4th of October. In late October 1848, while staying at 10 Warriston Crescent in Edinburgh with a Polish physician, he wrote out his last will and testament. Chopin made his last public appearance on a concert platform at London's Guildhall on 16th of November 1848, when he played for the benefits of Polish refugees. By this time, he was very seriously ill, weighing under 99 pounds, 45 kilograms, and his doctors were aware that his sickness was at a terminal stage. At the end of November, Chopin returned to Paris. He passed the winter in unremitting illness, but gave occasional lessons and was visited by friends. In June 1849, his sister Ludwika came to Paris with her husband and daughter. Chopin requested that his body be opened after death for fear of him being buried alive, and his heart returned to Warsaw, Poland, where it rests at the Church of the Holy Cross. On the 17th of October, after midnight, the physician leaned over him and asked whether he was suffering greatly. "No longer," he replied. He died a few minutes before 2 o'clock in the morning. Those present at the deathbed appeared to have included his sister Ludwika, Princess Marcelina Czartoryska, Sand's daughter Solange, and his close friend Thomas Albrecht. Later that morning, Solange's husband Clesinger made Chopin's death mask and a cast of his left hand. Chopin's disease and the cause of his death have since been a matter of discussion. His death certificate gave the cause as tuberculosis, and his physician was the then leading French authority on this disease. Other possibilities have been including cystic fibrosis, cirrhosis, and alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. However, the attribution of tuberculosis as principal cause of death, the funeral held at the Church of Madeleine in Paris was delayed almost 2 weeks, until October 30th. Mozart's Requiem was sung at the funeral. Chopin's Preludes No. 2 in E minor and No. 6 in B minor were also played, which included Chopin's sister Ludwika. At the graveside, the funeral march from Chopin's Piano Sonata No. 2 was played. Some of Chopin's well-known pieces have acquired descriptive titles, such as the Revolutionary Etude, Opus 10 No. 12, and the Minute Waltz, Opus 64 No. 1. However, with the exception of his funeral march, the composer never named any instrumental work beyond genre and number. The last opus number that Chopin himself used was 65, allocated to the Cello Sonata in G minor. He expressed a deathbed wish that all his unpublished manuscripts be destroyed. At the request of the composer's mother and sister, however, his musical executor selected 23 unpublished piano pieces and grouped them into 8 further opus numbers, Opus 66 to 73, published in 1855. These posthumously publications may be the first situation where a musician had music published and released to the world after his death. Chopin's music remains very popular and is regularly performed, recorded and broadcast worldwide. The world's oldest monographic music competition, the International Chopin Piano Competition, founded in 1927, is held every 5 years in Warsaw, Poland.